Good morning, brothers and sisters. Have you shouted for joy yet? Have you shouted for joy that you were set free from sin? How about we shout for joy? Let us shout for joy that we're no longer the slaves of sin. Thank you, Lord. He set us free gloriously. Why am I thinking of glorious freedom? Something has triggered me to think of the freedom of man. Freedom is really important. The Chinese have strived hard for freedom. There's a Chinese saying, "Give me liberty or give me death." It is better to die if I lose my freedom. I thought of my past. I was indulged in sin, which I didn't like. I wanted to be good, but I couldn't. Seemed I was controlled by sin without freedom. But now the Lord has changed my life. I've overcome sin as soon as I believe in the Lord. I can overcome those temptations. I'm totally free. No wonder the Bible said, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come." The Lord saved us from sins. We were the slave of sins. It seemed we were trapped in prison. We were bound and lived in darkness. We couldn't see the light, but it is different now. The Lord saved us, and now we're in His marvelous light. This marvelous light is sinners, but we can see God. We can draw near to Him and have a closest relationship with Him. Let us sing a hymn in God's Family Hymnal, the first, Song 48, The Green Olive Tree. But I like to change the word He into you, so that you can enjoy the personal love of the Lord to you. He loves you. He loves me. This love belongs to you and me. It is the most personal. The same you can sing like this in other hymns. I hope you enjoy the content of this hymn, for this is most related to you. There is no English version, so we'll read the translation.
I am amazed by the love of the Lord forever. You saved me while I was suffering in sin, set free from bondage, and enter into the marvelous light. Glorious, the Lord united with me forever. You uphold me with your right hand in my life. You crown the year with your bounty. The mountains may apart and the hills be removed, but your love to me never change. Oh, let me be the green olive tree to dwell in your temple forever, to know your endless love in eternity.
I hope you have time to quiet yourself and respond to Him, or you can sing another hymn to worship the Lord. Let's have some time to draw near the Lord face to face. You can stop the recording and we'll read the Bible when you're done. May the Lord bless you. Brothers and sisters, we read in Proverbs chapter 16, verse 1 to verse 33. The plans of the heart belong to man, but the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs the motives. Commit your deeds to the Lord, and your plans shall succeed. The Lord has made everything for His own end, yes, even the wicked for the day of evil. Everyone who is proud in heart is an abomination to the Lord. They shall certainly not be unpunished. By mercy and truth iniquity is atoned for. By the fear of the Lord man departs from evil. When a man's ways please the Lord, he He makes even his enemies to be at peace with him. Better is a little with righteousness than great revenues with injustice. A man's heart plans his course, but the Lord directs his steps. Inspired judgment are on the lips of the king. He shall not betray his mouth. Honest balances and scales are the Lord's. All the weights in the bag are his work. It is an abomination for kings to do wrong, for the throne is established by righteousness. Righteous lips are the delight of kings. They value one who speaks the truth. The king's wrath is a messenger of death, but a wise man will pacify it. In the light of the king's face is life. His favor is like a cloud of the spring rain. How much better it is to get wisdom than gold. Yes, to get understanding is to be chosen rather than silver. The highway of the upright is to depart from evil. He who keeps his way preserves his soul. Pride goes before destruction, and an arrogant spirit before a fall. It is better to be of a lowly spirit with the poor than to divide the plunder with the proud. He who heeds the word finds prosperity. Whoever trusts in the Lord is blessed. The wise in heart shall be called prudent. Pleasantness of the lips promotes instruction. Understanding is a fountain of life to one who has it, but the punishment of fools is their folly. The heart of the wise instructs his mouth, and adds learning to his lips. Pleasant words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul, and health to the bones. There is a way which seems right to a man, but in the end it leads to death. The appetite of the laboring man labors for him, for his mouth urges him on. A worthless man devises mischief. His speech is like a scoffing fire. A perverse man stirs up strife. A whisperer separates close friends. A man of violence entices his neighbor, and leads him in a way that is not good. One who winks his eyes to plot perversities, one who compresses his lips, is bent on evil. Grey hair is a crown of glory. It is attained by a life of righteousness. One who is slow to anger is better than the mighty, one who rules his spirit than he who takes a city. The Lord is cast into the lap, but its every decision is from the Lord. First of all, I like this chapter because it mentions God's name, the Lord, many times. If you count, there are a total of 11 times. This shows everything comes from God, from the Lord, but the Lord. Verse 33 is the summary of the entire chapter. The Lord is cast into the lap, but its every decision is from the Lord. It speaks to the absolute sovereignty of God. People should respond to God by choosing Him. This chapter points out each individual has free will to choose. No matter what you choose, everything comes from God, including our speech. Therefore, we should entrust everything to God and fear Him, because God has complete sovereignty. We should also ask God for grace and choose the path He teaches us. As a result, as stated in verse 33, the Lord is cast into the lap. This means that after we have prayed and asked, we have done our part. The Lord is cast into the lap means telling God our desire, but not asking everyone to draw lots. After telling God, we then entrust it to Him. But its every decision is from the Lord. We leave it to God to handle and fulfill it. If this matter is according to the will of God, surely He will help us. If what we have asked for is not according to the will of God, we also place our complete trust in God. Surrender sovereignty to Him to decide and handle it. So if you take 33, the last verse of this chapter, The Lord is cast into the lap, but his every decision is from the Lord. It is reasonable for this verse to be the summary for this chapter. At least you have grasped a very valuable key point, entrusting everything to God, trusting in Him, and relying on Him for fulfillment. And this chapter can be divided into two main sections, verse 1 to verse 15, plus the last verse, 33, speaks of a very important theme. Everything generates from God. Just as verse 1 says, the plans of the heart belong to man, but the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. It explains that God has supreme sovereignty, including how we react. We're willing to entrust our words to God, letting Him control our tongues. Everything comes from God. Does it mean man doesn't have to do anything? No. Let's look at verse 1. The plans of the heart belong to man. Man has the responsibility to think and to plan for God. Ultimately, the outcome depends on God. Hence, verse 33 says, but his every decision is from the Lord. Does that mean man only needs to make the plans and then leave the success or failure to God? Let God decide? That's not how it works. Shall we read verse 3? Commit your deeds to the Lord, and your plans shall succeed. This means that not only you have to think, but you also have to put into practice. You have to take action, and you commit it to the Lord during the process. You rely on Him and trust in Him. To commit includes relying on Him. Therefore, to commit doesn't mean just you are a bystander. You're not sitting back and relaxing. No, to commit means to be with Him, but relying on Him. Because God has given us wisdom and has more experience than we do, I'm confident to commit myself and my affairs to Him. It's like hiking. I don't know the trail very well, and I don't have much hiking experience. Thus, I commit the hiking to someone who knows it well. I commit it to him. This is the meaning of I trust in Him, relying on Him, and let Him lead me. This is the meaning of commit. Thus, the first major section of this chapter says everything comes from God, which also means that man has a responsibility to think, to act, and to rely. And verse 2 also says when people think, their motives should be pure, because God looks at our hearts. He looks at our motives behind, not just the superficial effect of our actions. That's the meaning of verse 2. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs the motives. People think and feel their thoughts are correct, but the most crucial is what God thinks. God looks at the heart. And as verse 9 says, a man's heart plans his course, but the Lord directs his steps. Hence, the thought of man is very important. Man should have pure motives to think, plan, act because of God and for God. Moreover, God regards the man's heart and will help us to carry out our plans. We must trust and commit ourselves to Him. Then what we think and do for God can be accomplished. Then the second part of this chapter is from verse 16 to verse 32. It speaks of our response, of how we shall make our choices. Since everything comes from God, how should we choose? What is the right response? First, is a response of the mindset. This response is that we should be humble and not proud. We should choose to fear God, choose humility, and choose wisdom. Verse 18 says, pride goes before destruction, and an arrogant spirit before a fall. This verse speaks of pride and humility, and can be called the proverb of Proverbs. I can say it goes straight to the heart of the matter. An example is also given. Solomon said in verse 19, it is better to be of a lowly spirit with the poor than to divide the plunder with the proud. It means if he has a lowly spirit, it seems he gets nothing with the poor and bring no benefit to him. But you might even have to give, but it is better to divide the spoil with the proud. However, it's better, so much better than to share your possessions with the proud. In other words, even if we think to get the most effective results and the results are really achieved, if you are proud in your heart, those results are just divided with the proud. God is not pleased. He doesn't like it, for he opposes the proud. Hence, God won't share those results. It is not the enjoyment for God at all. But if what you think and what you do is humble and is direct towards God, even if it seems like it is not effective at all, it can be a help to the poor, and God will be satisfied and pleased because our humility and reliance on Him. Besides, choosing God, choosing humility, choosing wisdom and reliance are our attitudes. We also need to choose to respond to God with our mouths. Look at verse 21 to verse 30. There's a lot about the mouth. For instance, verse 21 is about presence of the lips per most instruction. I think the most essential knowledge is the knowledge of God. Hence, presence of the lips doesn't mean flattery, but rather the words that are sweet, nourishing, and help people to know God and His preciousness. For instance, you can talk about your experience with God and His help and His love for you. These are the presence of lips. Just like in Song of Solomon, chapter 4, verse 11, the beloved prays his love. How did he pray her? He said, "Your lips, my bride, drip like the honeycomb. Honey and milk are under your tongue." In fact, the response of our lips not only helps people to enhance their knowledge, it also brings enjoyment to the Lord. Verse 23 says again, "The heart of the wise instructs his mouth and adds learning to his lips." Verse 24, "Pleasant words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and health to the bones." I believe we all need to speak day to day. We might have to speak a lot of things, but no matter what, brothers and sisters, what do you choose to speak? What do you say to respond to God? Can you speak more pleasant words to the Lord? When you face others, whether they're brothers and sisters or unbelievers, shouldn't your mouth be full of pleasant words about the work of the Lord and His goodness? Hence, we choose God not only in our lives and in our attitudes, but also in our words and in things we do day to day. We should respond to God and express the love of God to people so that they can come to know Him. Never use your mouth wrongly. Don't you act like verse 28 says, "Stir up strife." A whisperer is bad-mouthed and gossips. We shall never do these, for it destroys relationships and displeases God. I roughly covered the two main themes of this chapter. Let me also share two impressions which I gained from this chapter. Last time, I mentioned that Solomon seems to quote the words of his father David. In verse 3 of this chapter, it says, "Commit your deeds to the Lord, and your plans shall succeed." It looks similar to David's Psalms 37. I don't know if he also heard what his father David said and wrote down this proverb. In David's Psalms, Psalm 37, verse 5, it's written like this, "Commit your way to the Lord, trust also in Him, and He will do this." Isn't it similar to verse 3? I've just explained what it means to commit to the Lord. But as I read this verse and meditate on it again, I felt I need to learn one thing. I felt God wanted me to learn to let go. In fact, letting go is an essential part of a lesson in faith. Actually, it's a lesson in faith. We can let go with true faith. It is about surrendering to God completely. Very often, Man likes to control everything, or maybe not control everything, but rather everything under control, meaning everything is being well managed. You don't want things to be beyond your control. That's why man is unwilling to let go or find it difficult to do so. Let's say your children, for instance, need to go through a process in their growth. When they're very young, it's true you have to watch over them. As parents, you have the responsibility to take care and protect them. However, as they are grown, we all know it is out of our control. We have to let go, yet we feel unsafe to let go. That's the mindset in the world. We, as believers, should learn to let go and trust in the Lord. The Lord will bless us. Of course, we have to commit things to the Lord. This commitment means we should do something proactively in order to let go. What is it? It means committing our children to God and our matters to Him. If we do nothing and just say we have committed our children and our matters to God, that is not a true commitment, and this is not responsible. It is not a true commitment if you don't pray, you don't remember, and you don't care. This is irresponsibility, neglecting, and permissiveness. This is not trusting in the Lord, not relying on Him, and it's not faith. Brothers and sisters, it says, commit your way to the Lord. Let's ask yourself, have we done it? Have we committed to God the things we should do? Your plans shall succeed. God will bless us. We must remember what the true meaning of commit is. On one hand, we learn to let go, but on the other hand, we learn to lift up our hands to pray and rely on Him. Brothers and sisters, I hope this verse helps you to have faith in God, so you can let go of everything, but you also entrust everything to Him. Commit and present it to God. I was also impressed by another verse. That's verse 31. Grey hair is a crown of glory. It is attained by a life of righteousness. In fact, grey hair is also mentioned in Proverbs chapter 20, where it says, the glory of young men is their strength. The splendor of an old man is their grey hair. Why am I impressed? For I'm really getting old, and you can't deny it. Although I don't feel old in my heart and still feel young, the grey hairs are proof that time is passing. The ravages of time are real upon me. However, my life has left many sweet memories with the Lord, and many glorious, precious, and unforgettable experiences. Thus, it's precious that each of us will experience glorious things in our lives. Grey hair is a crown of glory. It is attained by a life of righteousness. This means when we listen to the Lord and do His will, our experiences are all glorious. The year is a mark for the glorious crown. Therefore, we should treasure those brothers and sisters who have believed in the Lord and follow Him for a long time, especially if they are now gray-haired, because they have many happiness and experience in their lives and on the path of following the Lord. They follow the Lord faithfully until this day. As you can imagine, they have walked through the valley of the shadow of death, yet they still love the Lord very much, joining the church gatherings and dedicating themselves in the church ministry. Is truly inspiring. I also thank God for myself. I have been following the Lord from black hair to gray hair. Shouldn't I be very grateful? If it were you, you should be the same. If you have black hairs in your youth, you walk with God, experience many glorious deeds, and you continue to experience God in old age, shouldn't you be very grateful? Therefore, it's very precious. Time and grey hairs leave behind a record of many precious graces, a record of glories, and a record of love and affection with God. Hence, you see, what is precious is not the grey hairs, or maybe you have lost a lot of hair. What precious isn't the grey hair, nor how much grey and black hair you have left, but rather it's the relationship you have with God behind those grey hairs. Your history with God is the glory you leave behind in a righteous life of following the Lord. Brothers and sisters, if your grey hair only brings hollow memories and you have no history with the Lord, then your grey hair are not a source of glory. In fact, man has different kinds of beauty at different ages. Each stage of life holds its own glory and its own crown. Brothers and sisters, no matter what age you are or what stage of life you're in, as long as you do your best, you will leave a crown of glory in a righteous life. Be of good cheer. Brothers and sisters, please don't be sad about having grey hairs, especially sisters. You should know this is God's gracious will to lead us into different stages and experience different glories. If you only see the grey hair, that is too superficial. You should see God leading you through each stage of life to let you experience His glorious works. You should know that the hair of your head are all numbered by God, and the color of your hair, whether it turns white or black, is not under your control. It is the will of God. Brothers and sisters, God even cares about something as small as our hairs. How much more does He care about our lives? We commit our matters to God. He will be responsible to the end. He will still carry and surely bear even to our old age and grey hair. Brothers and sisters, I'm going to enjoy being carried by Abba and the Lord. That's all for my sharing. I hope you have time to come before Him, enjoy His words and His love, and be with the Lord face to face. This time is unique for you and the Lord. May the Lord bless you.